Wait, are you gonna be here on Monday? Are you almost?
Yeah, it's
Dude. It's Wednesday today.
okay. Welcome to the Burning Boat fuck. Welcome to the Burning Boat.
No, you're saying the.
Welcome
Don't say
to
the.
Here we go, here
Huh?
we go, here we go. Welcome to Burning Boat Business. Episode number 3. This is a podcast following the progress, success, and failures of our company, Burning Boat. Nice.
Right, there you go.
Okay. Is there anything you want to talk about, or you want to go straight into it? So this week's topic is YouTube, what we plan to do with it, how we're going to get started, what the first episode's going to look like, basically all things YouTube channel.
The Burning Boat YouTube channel.
Yeah. We had said we wanted to start things off a little more casually. You know, maybe not go straight into things. Is there anything you want to bring up? I feel like we're recording this podcast kind of close to the previous one. Not that much has happened in my life since finding out I don't have hepatitis.
I was just going to say, you said episode 3, which means 3 weeks, but it feels like it's been a week since we recorded the first one.
Well, we were just recording. It's like
banging
4 days
them out
ago.
super quick. Yeah. So we were late on the last one, and now we're like 3 days early on this one.
Early.
So
yeah,
it's only been a couple days since we recorded the last one. I mean, I've kept everything that I wanted to talk about for the actual thing, so I think let's just get into it.
Let's dive into it then. So I arrived. Well, it's worth saying that this is the last podcast where we are in different countries.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So the next podcast will be in the same room, which is exciting.
That means that we have to record a podcast on the day you land.
No, because I land on a Monday.
Yeah, and we release it Tuesday.
That's this podcast, though. That's today.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
That's why it's so much closer than I keep forgetting how it's actually next week that you're here.
Yeah. Which is why it's nice to record it early now, so I have a little bit of time and not to stress about it while I'm flying.
Perfect. Yeah.
Right, so I'm going to arrive on Monday, and then, we plan on starting... the YouTube channel's already started, but starting, I guess, the next phase of the YouTube channel.
Right, because I was just in preparation for this. I was thinking, okay, so we're starting the YouTube channel when you get here. But I was like, yeah, we actually, the YouTube channel started on January 1st, and I've been uploading to it twice a week for the past, 5 months?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it has already started, but it does feel like we're starting with a fresh season, kind of, if you can call it that. I feel like the first part was just kind of me and
it's very much you. It's completely you. I don't think I've done anything for it.
A lot of the footage you took.
Yeah.
But I definitely put it together and created content by myself, and it was whatever I wanted it to be, so it wasn't a collaborative thing. But at the time we wanted to start with stuff, and I was the only one who was going to do it at the time, so that's what it turned into. And I think at one point I was just kind of content with it being my own little hobby, that I was doing YouTube on the side. I was involving things that we were talking about on our Skype calls. Just now I watched a video that I made right when I moved into this apartment, which was about... Am I frozen?
Yeah. Am I frozen?
No,
I didn't want to cut off your train of thought. You're frozen.
It was messing me up because I could see myself being frozen.
Can you close down your video and open it up again? There we go.
There we go.
All right.
No, so I just watched a video that I haven't seen. Like most of the videos, I'll upload them and I'll watch it once when it goes up, and then I won't watch it for like months unless it's something that's done really well or if I'm showing it to someone. And so there was one video that I uploaded like 4 months ago, right when I moved into this apartment, which was like burning boat business, essentially. That's kind of what it was. It was me talking about what we were doing with the company and some of the goals that we had for the company. And this was when I was in this mindset of wanting to think of what's the biggest possible goal I could possibly come up with, and that would be what I would like go for. And I made like a video about I was like, what's the biggest business thing that you could possibly achieve? And I looked it up and I Googled it, and it was the Fortune Global 500. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to make a video that is me saying that that would be cool if that was something that we achieved at some point. And watching it back now, I'm just like, what am I doing? It's so cringy. And it's not even that long ago. But I have to remind myself that that was when I had this idea. And this is something that I still would say it's something I find important, which was, how far can you take a dream or an idea or a goal? And then once you've done that, then almost like try and just completely forget about it. Like that's not actually what's important. So at the time, I was trying to think of the biggest possible things I could ever imagine achieving, whether it be like physically with running or business or like other passions I have. And I wanted to like make videos about each of those and then just put them out there. Not even with the intention of anyone having seen them, but just so that I had them for myself and could later on look back and be, well, hopefully, oh, that's something I'm still trying to do. Yeah, I made a video about it. Or that's not at all what I want to do anymore. Or like, I don't know, I just, at the time, I wanted to make something where I had like said these specific things and then just like forget about them. Anyways, I just felt like I had to say that because I just watched that. And it was
I love that.
Whoa, I don't remember I almost don't remember making that video. As weird as that. Like I was making so many things. Like it was a 2-week period where we just moved in. I'm like building the office, moving stuff in, like getting settled in this new place. And I was also making videos at the same time. And I was making these huge statements. Like I'm going to do the biggest races, summit the highest mountains, make this crazy company before we even knew what we were talking about. I don't even like really remember what I said in those videos, but there's something interesting about it, and I think it'll be cool, you know, way down the line to be able to look back, just like, wow, this guy really wanted to to do something. I'm looking at myself, thinking, wow, he was really ambitious. Right in the beginning. It's funny at the same time though.
Have any of those goals changed, do you think, or you're still very much interested in doing those things? Because I know we had talked about some of them were just hard to define for you.
Right, because I have this. Yeah, so I had this. I'm a big fan of the idea of the law of attraction, and like what you think and the thoughts that you consciously choose to have really drive what you end up doing in life and what you end up achieving. So I wanted to think, what are my biggest ambitions, or what is like the most crazy thing I could imagine happening? And then I wanted to make a video about the 5 biggest things. And I suddenly realized it was very difficult to define what those things were, like you said. So like a goal of having my own company, I was like, well, okay, that is what my goal is, right? To have my own company and to be in charge of that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to have like a concrete way of measuring it.
Yeah.
So like I had another goal, which was mountaineering. That's something I want to get really into. So like, what's the most difficult mountain in the world? Easy to Google that. That's an easy like achievement thing that you could actually like work towards. Whereas like company and having that, it's a little bit more abstract and it's not as specific. So trying to come up with something that was defining, came up with this idea, or it's not really what the goal is. But you get what I mean? That I was like trying to make it something you could write down. It's like when people say, I wanna lose weight. And you lose half a kilo, you've lost weight. Have you achieved your goal? I mean, I think there's something to say behind trying to specify, well, how much do you want to lose, or is it really not about weight loss? It's more about feeling more healthy, or like, what is it specifically you want? Like, I want to make more money. Well, how much money do you want to make? Or is it just that you want to have a different kind of lifestyle? Maybe you could do that just by rearranging some things already. It's like, having these big sweeping statements that it actually helps to clarify them a little bit, and that was kind of what I was attempting to do. So if you're asking if I have if they've changed, I don't think they've changed. It's still what I want to do, but I think maybe
But why did you say they were cringy then? Just the way the video was made, or is it just inherently cringy to tell people your goals?
Yeah, because that's exactly what it is. It's a totally personal thing, that video, and it was like an attempt to be accountable to myself and to have said it out loud. And I knew that making a video like that, or 5 videos, which it was, would really do something to me and make me want to work towards each of those goals every single day, because I'd made these ridiculous statements. And it worked. I mean, like, every single day or week, I'd look up at my list that I'd written on my blackboard and be like, okay, how can I get like a little bit closer to that goal? Or how can I make a video that talks a little bit more about it in detail? And it's still going. Like, every day I look at it, I'm like, what am I doing right now? If what I'm doing right now has nothing to do with one of those things, then I need to change what I'm doing. And like, that works. But the cringy part is where I'm saying, like, casually mentioning like the global Fortune 500 companies, as if that's like, what does that even mean? It's just it's just kind of silly to me. And that's, I think I made a mistake by being so caught up in having it be definable and be super specific, that there actually was a little bit of room to just say, I want to have my own company, and for it to be successful in whatever way that
it's hard to define those. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think I should have just left it at that, because that's ultimately what it is. And once you start saying things like that, like Global 500, that suddenly becomes a different thing, where it's about like money and size and I don't know. That's not at all what it is. So that was the cringy part.
Okay. So now transitioning to me coming to Copenhagen, we've decided we want to upload twice a week. And I think we need to come up either with some ideas, or just kind of like, what's the first video? Where are we going? What's the format? What are we trying to do? What are we trying to get across? And have a plan, because I mean, we can start shooting day one when I land, right? So I guess that's kind of the first question I have, is like, what should we do for the first episode? And that's aside from, the road trip video and kind of other side projects. Like,
right, a road trip video, just quickly explain what that is.
That's a video that'll be coming out soon, which was my road trip with my good friend Kevin from Los Angeles to New York, which was kind of my first step towards moving to Copenhagen.
And I think that is a good example of kind of what I've also been doing with the channel, which is it's these standalone episodes up until this point. It's like a video about running a marathon, or it's a video about reading one book a week, or a video about writing a script, or rock climbing. It's all these different things, which is great, and that's what I think ultimately we kind of want to use it for, is to explore our passions. But I think, to answer your question of what should the first episode be, I think we need to define what it is we want to use the YouTube channel for the business. Like, what is the purpose behind it? And then once we've answered that, then we can start figuring out, well, what is the content going to be? Because I think having a structure that is defined maybe is more helpful than the specific thing. I think we're going to fill the content with things that we're doing and things that we're interested in.
I think that's a little bit, I think there's two things for me. One is going back to the idea of transparency. and kind of trying to show as much as possible of us now when we don't have anything as a company yet.
Yeah.
And showing that process the same way we're doing with the podcast, but in a more visual, in a little bit tighter, a little bit more edited, a little bit more produced way, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. With the little tighter is also it's more creative maybe.
Yes.
We're also showcasing what we can do as filmmakers.
Exactly. Then the second thing I think is, it's just good if we want to be making films. I think it's good practice for us to just be constantly making and editing videos.
I mean, that was definitely one of the biggest motivators for me when I was doing YouTube just by myself. That was just how much my skill sets have improved just over the past half year by making videos every single week.
Right.
Both in filming stuff and in editing. Just like being able to come up with an idea on the spot. That's like, I think, like a muscle you have to exercise. It's the ability to convert like something that's interesting but not necessarily that visually interesting into a video idea. Kind of just
Exactly.
right here, right now. So it's like a creative challenge, and I think that's exciting too.
Yes, yeah. So thirdly, I think it kind of can force you to do things you otherwise might not do because you know you need to get a video out that week or something. And it's just an additional sort of motivator to, okay, we have to create a video about this, then it kind of forces us to do that thing, right? Something that you otherwise would want to do. On a smaller scale, right, Instagram kind of forces me to take pictures or go on Photoshop every once in a while and kind of create stuff, which is what I want to be doing, which is why I like having that Instagram account, because it kind of forces you to take that extra step sometimes of like, let me just take a little bit longer on that picture. Let me just run up onto this hill here and get a picture from there, blah, blah, blah.
And I think that's very important to make it a sustainable thing, to put out 2 videos every single week. That there is this immediate kind of reward that you get, which is I'm working on things that I wanted to do anyways, something that I'm maybe not doing already or I want to do more of, and this is just a reason to do it a little bit better than I was.
Yeah, and kind of forces you to do it right then. If you're like, I'm making a video about this week, it's like, I got to do it this week now. There's no like, I'm going to do that in the next month sometime.
And that's exactly what I was getting at with the setting those 5 massive goals in the beginning. It's like, that's an impossible thing to just sit down and achieve. But by having thought of it and then having this idea that I want to make regular videos about achieving those goals and showing the progress, I'm forced to every single week work on it a little bit, whether it's like for mountaineering, just Googling what the next kind of expedition I want to go on is, or where there's some climbing in the area that I'm going to be visiting anyways, because, that's one of my goals, I should be working on it.
Yeah.
Or if it's one of my goals is to have a successful business, to like, okay, what's one little thing I can do this week to just move a little closer
Exactly.
to that? So like defining what the logo is going to be.
Exactly.
Small things, and I think that's like what you're getting at with the motivation of you're going to do little things that you maybe weren't going to do and do it right now.
For that, yeah, exactly. So I find that exciting, and we had kind of talked about the idea of starting every episode off with, what did you call it, fear setting?
Yeah, fear setting. That's a term that I got from Tim Ferris, who also has a podcast that talks about everything that has to do with becoming better or more productive, both in business but also like in your personal life.
Yeah, it's a great podcast.
And he does this exercise where if he's really nervous about something, or if there's something he's really fearful of doing, or like starting something new, or like if he's sitting around being worried about if an investment is gonna be a failure or a success, he sits down and writes down the worst possible thing that could happen. So all the things that he's like kind of that's spinning around in his head, he'll write down what's the worst that could possibly happen if I do this or if I don't do this. And once he's done that, it's almost like he's like, oh, it's like that's not that bad. Or if it is bad, he's at least come up with a way to get out of it if it does happen. And I think we were talking about wanting to incorporate a lot of challenges into the YouTube channel. To not have, well, I don't know, it's probably something we're going to talk about, but maybe not to necessarily have the entire episode focused around a challenge, but that challenge is kind of like constantly happening.
Yeah, so here's
challenges, like it's things where we're like trying to push ourselves outside of our comfort zone.
Yeah, and not like the cinnamon challenge and stuff like that. I think more.
No, not silly challenges that have like purpose, like
Yeah.
trying to become more productive in the mornings. Like, so a challenge would be to get up earlier and to do that for an entire week.
Right.
To really force yourself to do that to see what works. So going off of that thought that we wanted to do things like challenges, I think there's a lot of YouTube channels that do that. So that's what we were talking about. How can we do something that's slightly different or that doesn't feel like it's just us copying other people? So we were talking about incorporating this fear setting exercise into the beginning and end of every episode.
Exactly.
And have it be just like a 10-second,
it's not even
20-second
really.
thing.
Yeah.
Maybe give an example of what we were talking. Like,
example. I think the
imagine
thing
doing.
It should always be is something. Okay. Well, it has to be something you want to get better at, right? I think something that makes you uncomfortable or something you like truly fear, and then the thing is just to either confront it or just to do it. I guess, right?
I think there's two different kinds of things. There's one which is literally just something that you're uncomfortable doing or that gets you scared, because that, even if it's not something that's necessarily beneficial to you or something you want to implement, that is a good exercise to always be pushing yourself a little outside of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
So that's one, and then the other one would
be anything that's like exactly productive or that you think would make your life better, or for example, on the one hand it would be waking up early every day for a week. On the other hand, it would be, for me, is something I'm really terrified of is needles. So it'd be like going to a blood drive and giving blood, right?
So what that would be like in a YouTube video is, this would be the first thing you saw. It would be something like writing down on a piece of paper, I'm afraid of needles.
Yeah.
Or we could even do something like where we've both written down 10 things on little slips of paper.
That's what I was thinking. So we just have
we pick
ready.
one out.
Yeah.
You read it out loud, and then it just cuts straight to you confronting that fear. So,
white in the face, giving blood. Passed out.
And then the episode starts.
Intro.
So it's more about just little nuggets of content within this bigger structure of the Burning Boat YouTube channel.
Exactly. And the episode isn't focused around that. It's just
it's
something
just one
we
aspect
did that
of what we
that made us exactly. And then moving on from that, so I think that's a great way to start every episode. That would alternate between you and me. I like the hat idea. It would just mean we'd have to come up with like 10 things.
Well, yeah, I have.
You have?
I mean...
Can I hear them?
Yeah, I came up with... Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, I just did fear setting. I wrote 10 things. First 10 things that came to mind. So one would be making eye contact with strangers, like on the subway or something. That's just something that I'm just so uncomfortable. And I don't think it's useful in any other way than getting me to feel uncomfortable.
That's so true. That's good.
And just being able to be... I wrote a blog post about being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and how useful that can be.
Yeah.
That's the only benefit of doing that, I think.
Okay.
Going to the dentist.
Yeah.
I think that's also very similar to the first one, being comfortable, being uncomfortable. But obviously there's benefits to going to the dentist every so often. I don't think I've been to the dentist in like 2 years.
Dude, you gotta go.
Just purely because I'm terrified of it. I have this thing. I broke... maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I jumped into a swimming pool head first, and I got a little bit disoriented, and I swam into the bottom of the pool and cracked my front tooth in half. And I went to the dentist and I put it back on, and it's fine. I still have the same bit. But ever since then, I've had these horrible tooth nightmares, and it stopped now. I haven't had them for a while, but like for a good couple of years after that, I'd have these nightmares where I was grinding my teeth, and in the dream, my teeth would just start to break out, and I just couldn't stop.
That's a
pressing
common
together.
dream. That's a super common dream.
And I'd wake up and I'd literally like feel if my teeth were there. And I have this thing for the dentist now, and it's new after that. Like I didn't used to be afraid of the dentist. So that's one. And then another one would be not being able to see the bottom of the ocean when you're out swimming. So like if you're swimming and it gets deep and the bottom kind of disappears, I just don't know what's there. It just freaks me out. I guess those three are all just kind of ones that it's like confronting your fear and just getting over it.
Yeah.
Then another one would be talking to strangers on the phone, like calling up salespeople if you're like ordering a plane ticket and you have to call them about something.
Okay.
I just find that very uncomfortable. I don't know why.
Okay.
But my hands will start to sweat for like the stupidest reasons, and I'm like rehearsing in my head beforehand what to say, make sure I have all my facts right, and I don't know. It's just a stupid thing where I'm like afraid of sounding dumb on the phone.
Is it the stranger thing, or is it like a language? Is it like specifically calling someone in Danish, or just anybody in any language?
I think it's calls in general, but now that you mention it, it's definitely the Danish thing.
Because I have that a little bit with the German, yeah.
I'm fluent in Danish, and that's like my main language, I guess. I mean, that's what I am Danish, and that's what I learned to speak first.
Yeah.
But English is definitely my stronger language.
Yeah.
In terms of like my vocabulary and just knowing more words in English than I do in Danish. So when I'm like talking about something specific on the phone with someone Danish, and it's not just stuff that you would normally talk to your family about, like just little vocabulary words I just don't know.
Yeah.
So I guess that makes me uncomfortable.
Okay.
Anyways, that's a long story. I have this when I was in like 9th grade, I got really into magic, and I started learning all these card tricks, and I got really good at it, and I still have all of those skills, and I can do these, I think, pretty good magic tricks, and I have this terrible fear of showing it to anyone.
That's my favorite
cannot
one.
show magic to anyone, like not even my girlfriend. It's so stupid because I've spent hours, like probably like 1,000 hours. I don't even know what that translates in, but it was like that's all I would do in my free time was learn magic tricks and practice and watch YouTube videos on how to get better. Obsessed with David Blaine. I've watched all his shows. I have a card collection. I have like 70 decks of playing cards. This was like all I did when I was in 9th grade. And I think, that's a whole nother discussion, but I have this horrible fear of doing magic to people. So I think it's this fear of failure, of this fear of messing up. So putting so much time into something and then you don't want to show it. It's like, I need to get over that. It's not that I want to start doing magic again, but I need to be better at, showing the stuff that I put time into. It's like, what's the point if it's just going to keep it to myself?
Like accepting that you might mess up.
Yeah, and I have to be comfortable with the idea of messing up. So the idea would be I don't get to like practice or anything. I just like, if I draw that, I have to like go out, show someone a magic trick straight away.
I love it. Oh.
Just be like, if I mess up, keep going.
Can't
Don't
wait
just
to
say,
see
I
that.
messed up. Like, just keep, that's part of it, and just keep moving, keep moving until eventually I've confused them enough that they think I didn't mess up. That's ultimately what I want to be able to do.
Okay.
I think just talking to neighbors more. Like, I live in this apartment building, and I have had like a conversation with one of them once, and it's just like I want to be more social with people, and I think I want to start just it's not that I want to have relationships with my neighbors, but I think it's an easy opportunity to, if I meet someone in the stairwell, just be a little bit more friendly and get comfortable opening up to other people and become more social in general. I'm starting to realize the similarity between all of these. Like the next one is also about the fear of rejection or the fear of looking stupid in front of someone else. The next one is asking, like if you go up and order a cup of coffee, asking to have it to be 10% off.
Yeah.
For no good reason. You can't say why. Just say, I just thought I'd ask if I could have it for 10% off. They're obviously going to say no most of the time, but just being comfortable with them saying no. And this is also something that I got from Tim Ferris, and I think it's so genius because it's so harmless, and maybe you do get 10% off, but if not, you're just that much more comfortable someone saying no. And if you're not capable of taking a no, then how are you going to start asking for anything ever?
Yeah.
Going to the doctor, same thing as the dentist. Asking for directions in public, I always just want to figure it out for myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this thing. It's like a small thing, but I think it reflects itself in a lot of other areas of my life where I really just I want to be able to do it myself. If I can't do it myself, I just don't want to do it at all. And I think it does hold me back sometimes, because then I just don't do it at all. If I can't figure it out, I just don't want to ask for help, and then that's something I've missed out on. And it's definitely good for certain things, but asking for directions in public might just be a little step in the right direction. Yeah, things like that.
I love it. Those are great.
And it's easy to come up with more, you know.
And those are perfect
so many
examples.
things.
Yeah. Okay. So we start the episode with that, which is great because it's exactly what we want to do, is like put ourselves in those situations where it's like, it's good for, you're going to feel good after talking to someone. Even if it is a super awkward conversation, you'll still be happy with yourself for like, well, at least, I made an effort.
Yeah. Okay, real quick. So I just mentioned 9 of them, and I purposely didn't say the last one.
What's
I was
the
like,
10th?
I don't want to say it.
No, say it.
So, exactly. You just said that. I was like, why am I not saying this last one? Because maybe it's the one that I'm most uncomfortable with. And it's a super weird one, and it's a very personal one. And I was like, this is kind of what we wanted to do with YouTube, is be open and to really build connections with people. So it helps to be super honest. So
yeah.
I don't know why, and I think it's not the right time to try and figure out why, but for some reason, I find it really difficult to tell people, specifically in my family, that I love them, for example. I don't remember ever saying that to anyone in my family. And when I hear other people say it, I'm confused as to why I find it difficult to say. And it's something that I just want to start doing more.
Yeah.
Just when I actually feel like I want to say it. Not like I find it really annoying when people just, every time they had a phone call with someone, they say, oh, I love you, and they hang up, and it just becomes like this random blah phrase that doesn't really mean anything. I just feel like I want to be comfortable letting people know that I love them.
Yeah.
It seems like a simple thing, but for some reason it just has become like this big deal in my head.
It's interesting.
And
do you reserve it for for one or no?
I'm not trying to like wait for a good moment. It is something that I've just become uncomfortable with. And maybe, I think it's deeply rooted in some kind of psychological thing. But I don't know. I don't think it's a bad thing to start doing.
That's so interesting. No, I don't think so either.
I think it's maybe like the way that I've grown up wanting to be very independent and not wanting anyone close to me to know if I was like upset with something or struggling with something, and it being a vulnerability thing. That if I'm not capable of doing that, then I'm also not really, I want to show them how I actually feel directly. Like I think I'm all about trying to show affection indirectly by, coming up with these big elaborate gifts for like my brother's birthday, or trying to think about how to make my mom's weekend the best it could be when I come back to visit by trying to think what she would want to do and being interested in doing those things. But I would, I like, why not also just say how that you love them as well?
Yeah.
Anyways, now I've said that.
That's a good one. I like that.
Because this is the kind of stuff that we want to. This is the kind of stuff we want to talk about, and we want the channel to be about. I think in the end.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to be ourselves.
And honest and push for that sort of, yeah.
Because that's something I'm really interested in trying to get other people to do more of. So,
which is interesting with this podcast. No, it's very interesting because you're so tempted to cut yourself out of certain things, right? Especially when you're editing it.
I found that.
Did you notice that? Yeah.
And I really tried not to because I was like, that would be unfair.
Yeah.
It's like, the point is to be open and honest and to present yourself in real time. And that's the idea of a podcast, where you can't edit it like a video. So why am I cutting out this part where I sound a little bit stupid?
And it feels good just to put it. Honestly, when I post it, I just walk away from my computer and I just like go walk for a little bit or something. I'm just like, okay, it's out there. Fuck it. Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, well then, so that's what we had kind of decided now is the first part of the episode, right? Exactly what we had just talked about. This, I don't know if that is fear setting because it's not really writing down what the worst thing is that could happen, but it's setting.
It's doing it though.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I'm afraid of this. I'm going to go out and do it, and then hopefully not be as afraid of it afterwards, or at least come to understand why I'm afraid of it, and maybe be able to work with that in some, positive way.
Yeah. And there's like an overarching, I'm sure when I do it as well, I'll find some sort of overarching, they're all working towards the same goal, whether it be being better socially.
All were.
Yeah, it's all like pushing, and it's interesting. Because I think a lot of mine are in a similar vein. Especially, do people speak English in Copenhagen? I mean, obviously, a lot of people speak English, but...
No.
Is that like a predominant... English. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Everyone speaks English.
Okay, sorry, that was off topic. So now, the format of the episode, after the intro, what? What is the most of the episode about?
I think we just need to say that what we want to do is we want to do like a vlog.
Right.
We want to document what we do.
Hesitant to call it a vlog.
Yeah, I know, but I think that's
like,
just what it is.
Yeah. But can we call it something else, even if that is what it is?
So cut that part out, you mean, and like just redo that?
No. We'll keep it in. But, well, yeah. Why? First of all, why is it so cringy to be like, oh, I want to do?
Because it seems like what we're doing is we've seen other people on YouTube have success with making vlogs and just documenting their everyday life.
But
we're like...
But it's different because I don't like seeing someone kind of completely removed from reality, just like talking to a camera in the middle of a... That seems very weird to me, personally.
Okay. I agree, but I think that it's so hard for us to put ourselves in that position because they're talking to their audience, not their camera.
Right. Yeah.
And like, we're already like, how are we going to make 2 videos a week with everything else we're doing? And I think it literally becomes like I have to start making content like on the go.
Yes.
I think it's not that they're trying to like appear a certain way, or I'm generalizing.
I like the idea of me filming you and you filming me. I don't like the idea of me filming myself. It's what I'm trying to get at.
I think that's a totally valid point, but do you want to like explain why?
Why don't you like filming yourself? What's the fear behind that, or the hesitance? Maybe I would get more comfortable with it as I go, but the few times I've had to do it, like for the road trip video and stuff, it feels so forced and so like prepared, and I end up thinking about what I'm gonna say and blah blah blah. Whereas if someone else is filming me, I'm quite good at just acting myself and not caring too much about what I'm saying or how I come across or something. It's just a more natural version of myself. As soon as I put the camera on myself, it's like it's just an intense feeling of I feel like I'm trying to sell myself, or I don't know.
I think people buy it, or people call bullshit straight away when they can sense that you're not you, but I mean in general you are being not authentic or not yourself, or you've rehearsed what you're about to say. People know straight away, and it's off-putting. And I think that's the last thing you want to be putting on YouTube. So if that's a good reason to not want to do it. But I think then the goal should be to be as authentic as possible, and not necessarily.
And that is the goal. I think that's exactly what I'm saying. Is that
so if you're at some point you do feel like you can do it in front of the camera yourself, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But I feel the same, and I felt the same when I started doing it. And the content I was putting out was a little different because it was maybe more like these short films more than they were YouTube videos. I've started making more YouTube videos now, but in the beginning it was like I'd set up an interview and I'd have my brother like ask me questions, and I'd like answer them to get around the feeling. But
that's different to me as well, because that's more of a prepared video. That wasn't you just.
No, exactly. That's
Do you know what I mean?
So I'm saying that at first it was fine because it was videos that were prepared, and they also felt like this is okay for it to be prepared because I'm showing that I put a lot, like I've worked on this video for a full week. It's not something I put together today.
Yeah.
So it felt, I don't know, I hope so, but I feel like it felt genuine in that sense. And when I started to transition into like where I was speaking to the camera, it's so difficult. It's like a horrible feeling where suddenly you turn the camera on and it's like you're not alone. It's like people are watching you, even when you're recording it, and you're suddenly so aware of yourself in the worst possible way that you can't say anything normally.
Yeah.
Because
like
it's not normal to say what you're saying.
Yeah, as soon as the camera turns on an actor, suddenly they can't walk normally all of a sudden, right? It's that exact thing. And then,
So I think it's a good way of getting into it is by us filming each other.
Yeah, I think so too.
And to just document what we're doing, because ultimately, like you said, what we want to do is we want to show ourselves now when we're starting, and not to wish that we had started documenting this process when we're doing well or when there's actually something to show.
Exactly.
Like starting now is super interesting, I think. I would be interested in watching someone else show their progress. But, I probably wouldn't come across their channel until I'd heard of them elsewhere. And then I'd find out, they've, documented the last 2 years of how they actually, got to the point of, releasing their first feature-length film and it doing well at an important festival. Like that'd be amazing to be able to look at their process like real time.
Yeah.
So it's like putting in the work now and hopefully, being able to engage with people along the way and build, a following, however small it might be to start out with. But then having all of that content and all of that work there for, in the future. We wanted to have a what?
I'm listening. I'm just excited.
Oh, you were like, stop.
No. I'm just.
We wanted to have a title that kind of gave you the sense that when you watched one episode, you'd feel like, there's more episodes that I can watch.
Yeah.
So having Burning Boat YouTube channel, but the season is called something like Taking the Island, because I've already moved to Copenhagen. You're moving to Copenhagen, an island, and
right.
we're trying to set up our business here on this island, being Copenhagen.
Taking the Island.
Taking the Island, episode 1.
It's good. I think it's interesting, and I think it could change the name season to season still.
I think what might happen...
If that's more the idea, right? And then we get to getting The Office, and then we can change the name based on what sort of the next sort of feeling is.
I think if we establish that that's what we're trying to do, like, just, throughout the episodes, we just keep referring back to, taking the island. Our goal is to have an office.
Yeah.
Once we've done that, that's the end of season 1. We start season 2.
Exactly.
And it's like, now we're established, and I think it's a concrete thing to aim for. Going back to the idea of setting specific goals, not just we want to do well.
Yes.
So let's just call it taking the island.
Okay.
Move on.
I like it. And backtracking a little bit back to the vlog thing, I was just peeing and I thought, what it is, I don't know why that makes me think, why these two things sound so differently to me. But the difference between a vlog and a behind the scenes video, it might be the same thing, but to me, behind the scenes, I like that idea, is we're going behind the scenes of the company to show what's going on outside of the content that we're creating, what's kind of happening behind the curtain.
I think you're right.
That I like.
It has.
And that also implies it's kind of us trying to film each other in scenarios where the other person doesn't necessarily know that they're being filmed, right? Even though you probably do know most of the time, it's kind of trying to show as real and as honest kind of what's going on to make this happen.
And I think the reason why I'm tempted to say vlog, or why I was tempted to say vlog, I think we should call it behind the scenes, is that because of the nature of what we're trying to do, which is build a production company, but we're wanting to do all these other things as well. And we're both very into the idea of challenging ourselves and trying to become better at the things that have nothing to do with film or building a business, that we would want to show other aspects of our lives, because everything we're doing is part of the business in that sense.
But it's all behind the scenes then, in that, It
is all behind the scenes. But if we're just saying it's behind the scenes of the company, and then you might expect that is only going to be when we're out filming, or it's only going to be when we're in the office.
No.
When we're doing something concrete to do with the business, that would be wrong. And it's also about personal things that are going on.
Yeah.
And showing us at home and when we're out doing things that don't directly relate to the business, but it's all part of the same thing we're trying to do and the mindset we're trying to get ourselves into and talk about.
Yeah.
So behind the scenes.
So it's taking the island behind the scenes.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Taking the island behind the scenes, episode 1. Not bad.
Not bad.